So I wanted to give you an update on embroidery. I finished the bicycle, very exciting. So this is what it looked like, and this is what mine looks like. There we go. I did blue instead of this like coral salmon color. I just kind of switched it up to my preferences. Here they are up close. The flowers were so fun to make. I love how they turned out. They're so cool. It's called a woven wagon wheel. Really easy. They turned out awesome. I just love how they look. The tassel, I did pink and yellow to kind of tie in the yellow here. I just kind of switched it up. I think this was supposed to be black and I was like, it just didn't look very good. So I did silver and that's how that turned out. I forgot to show you the back. Showing the back of your needle crafts is like such a thing in the community is, I don't know why, maybe it's just to see how neatly you worked. I think I worked pretty neatly. I would say it's better than my first one right here. That one, I was all over the place. I'm unsure what to do now because I need the hoop for other projects. But then what do I do with this? Maybe frame it? I'm not sure. I don't know. And the next project I'm going to be working on, and this is very exciting. I thrifted this a year and a half ago. Well, first of all, this is a cross stitch, which I've never done before. They are morning glories and it's counted cross stitch. I am preparing for an upcoming flight and I wanted to do something on the plane. And then also while I'm there at the place, I needed something to do. So I figured I would just bring this kit with me. I opened it so I could prepare myself for what's going on since I've never done cross stitch and I get it now. I understand, but when I first opened it, I was like, what am I getting myself into? What did I buy? There. So that's that. Here is the Ada cloth that I'll be working on. It's nice and small. It's so cute. I think it's gonna be really, really awesome. I'm very excited to start this. And I believe you start right in the middle, which is why I have it folded twice so I can find the middle square, I guess. Maybe I should watch a video before I get on the plane and start this. But this is a chart. I'll bring it up close so I can kind of explain it to you. You start in the middle, which is right there, that black square. And each symbol matches up with a color. So I'd start with triangles, and triangles match up to dark blue. Here are all the symbols right there, the color codes. It also tells you how many strands to use. It's not too bad actually. You just have to count where you're going, count how many X's or crosses you're gonna do. Sorry, I don't know the correct terminology yet. I got this for $1.99 by the way. It's like so cheap and it's so beautiful. It's so cute. It's the perfect size. Excited to start this on the plane. It'll help occupy my mind. So I will update you along the way with my cross stitch project and see how we're doing there. I want to show you my cross stitch that I started on the plane. It went well. It was actually really cool. And last night I sat in bed and kind of finished this flower. There it is. Oh my gosh. It's so beautiful. Okay, so I'm about to get into some cross stitch for the night and I wanted to show you an update on my little cross stitch project that I'm working on. There it is. It looks so good. I love it so much. Dare I say that I like this more than embroidery? Embroidery definitely has its place, but I don't know, there's something about this that I just love so much. I love seeing it come together. I love being able to pick a random color and just like go with it. And when I'm done with that thread, move on to another color. I don't know, it just keeps my brain interested. And once the picture starts coming along, I just can't stop, I feel, because it's so fun watching it come together. Here is the chart so far, almost there, maybe halfway. I have to do all of the spots that are not highlighted, but then there's also little pieces here, which are gonna be kind of difficult to do because you have to count, but it doesn't really matter because even if I do get off count, they're so randomized that you won't really notice, I think, at least I hope. There are a few areas that I've messed up, but you'll never know because I have hidden it well. I just added more stitches and just like kind of added my own thing to make them look good. So that's not a big deal at all. Here is the picture of what it's supposed to look like. I still have to do the back stitching, obviously. I'm gonna do that at the very end, and that will kind of add some defining lines on the picture, make it look more realistic a bit. But so far, even without those, I love it. It's beautiful. I am very excited to finish this, just simply so I can start the next project. I really want to do the pigeon, I think. I am so excited to get into that. So nice. I've been just hanging out, doing this at night usually, and it's a really good way to kind of wind down for the night and get my brain into that we're about to go to sleep mode, you know? I will update you again when I'm done with the design before I do the backstitch, so you can see what it looks like before the backstitch, and then I'll show you afterwards, of course. I actually think it'd be so cute framed, just like they have it in this picture. I don't know, I might do that. I wanted to give you a little bit of a cross stitch update. So I finished this morning, but now I am working on outlining everything. I don't know, everything. And I still have some like little things to pop around the edges. So I kind of marked them with my highlighter because they're kind of randomized and it's easier for me to like count on the pattern that I have and then just mark a dot where they need to go. So this is what it's supposed to look like. You can see the outlines of everything. It kind of like gives definition to all of the flowers and leaves, and it just looks so good. So that's what I'm working on. And then you can also see the little details all around the border. They're so pretty. I started outlining right down here. You can kind of see it, I think, I hope. I guess I'll update you next when all of the outlining is done and all the details around the border is done and it's a complete piece. I think I just really vibe with cross stitch, and yeah, it looks so good. The outlining is called like backstitching, which is like kind of the same in embroidery. It's really easy to do. I just have to sit there and crank it out. And hopefully I can finish this in the next few days or so and show it off. Okay, everyone, I finished my first ever cross stitch project. I love cross stitch so much. Oh my gosh, I just loved doing this. It was amazing. So I have a very bright light, so I hope you can see it. I think I need to iron it, and I guess maybe you should wash it, but I'm a little afraid of washing it though, because I don't know, I don't want the floss to shrink in the back and then it kind of like get distorted. So I think I just might iron it, and that's it. By the way, here is what the back looks like. It's like not the neatest looking thing ever, but it's my first cross stitch project, so not bad, I think. What I'm gonna do now is take off the tape around the edges. I'm gonna do a zigzag stitch around to keep the fabric from fraying. And then I'm gonna sew a backing onto it. And once that's on there, I'm going to put it into this frame, which doesn't look too amazing here. Where is it? I'm gonna put it into this frame. I thrifted this frame a long time ago. I think it's gonna work out perfectly, I hope. And then I'm gonna hang it on the wall. So I'm gonna show you how to do this. This is what I'm going to be using for the backing. I would use a piece of felt if I had one, but I don't. So I'm going to be using this. This is just like a piece of fleece, I think. I wanted it to be dark so the back stitches wouldn't show through as much. And I think it's going to work out nicely. I hope. Here is the backing. I could not get out these creases right here. Even using steam, they wouldn't come out. Okay, my only issue is it's a tad bit too small, and you can like see this writing down here. I could sew a strip of fabric around the border that's like a little prettier, hides the fraying and all that. Let me think. So I attached this piece of fabric. I accidentally covered up the year 25, and then I picked it, and then I was like, I don't really like that, so whatever. I'm just gonna leave it like that. I hope this will work. This isn't too bad, I think. Now let's slide it in here. Okay, not bad. I think it looks good. I mean, you know, very homemade, but we are going to be hanging this on the wall. And if you just don't look at it too closely, you'll never know the imperfections. I kind of really love it, like right here. I don't know what my wall situation is going to be over here on the other wall. And I don't want to put it up like just in the middle of the wall, but I think it kind of looks cute here. Okay, hello. I am experimenting with dyeing stuff. I have some fabric that I mordanted last night in aluminum acetate, and it's in the dryer right now, but I'll show you them when they get out of the dryer. I think I'm gonna be using holy basil. I have like a lot of it from the garden, and I read that holy basil can produce a dye. So I don't know, let's just try it out. I also went to Goodwill to get a pot because when you're dyeing things, you need like a pot that is dedicated for the dye vat. You don't really want to use a pot that you make food in. So I bought a dedicated pot and found a lid that fits. And I also found these napkins. They are, I think, probably cotton or something like that. And they're really plain. They have that little detail on the bottom. I thought these would be cute to experiment with dyeing as well. I'm not going to do it today, but I will get around to it sometime whenever I figure out what color I want to do. I am using this book. It's called The Wild Dyer. It has a lot of good information about dyeing with natural things. It's a really good book. I definitely recommend it. I'll link it in the description. It says to use an equal amount of whatever you're dyeing with to whatever the fabric weighed. So I am going to measure out my holy basil right now. And I'm also going to change my shirt because white is not a good thing to wear when you are working with dyes. Okay, so my fabric weighed 14.3 grams. I know, not a lot. I'm just doing like little sample squares. So I'm gonna weigh out that exact amount, which might be a lot of holy basil now that I think about it. These are leaves, but also flowers and stems. All right, so I filled this halfway up with water. The book says 3/4 of the way up with water, but I'm not using a ton of fabric, and I'm also like not using a ton of dye stuff. So I'm gonna pour this in here. I don't know if I'm just supposed to dump it in like that or if I was supposed to put it in like cheesecloth, but we're doing it that way. And it says to heat to a simmer with the lid on, but do not boil it. So I am going to watch this very carefully and make sure it does not boil. Also, I'm going to be letting this simmer for an hour, and then it says after an hour, if the dye water is looking strong in color, I can take the vat off the heat. If it's not looking strong in color, then I will keep on simmering it for another hour. So I'll check back with you in 1 hour and see how this is looking. This is what it looks like after an hour. I did turn it up a bit and it boiled for probably 20 minutes before I noticed it. So that's kind of annoying. I think that boiling it might make it more brown instead of like a green color, which is what I was aiming for, but I like brown too. So this is what it's looking like. You can see it's kind of a golden brown color. I think I might do another hour just to make sure I get all of the dye out of these leaves. Also, I wanted to show you the fabric. This is muslin, and I think it's just cotton. It's a very simple piece. It is kind of sheer just a little bit. And then here is another piece of fabric. This is rayon and linen. And I think it's like 90% rayon and 10% linen. It is striped. Again, you can see through it a little bit. And yeah, I guess we'll see how this dyes up. I don't know. The rayon might not dye at all, and the linen might take all the dye. So it's an experiment. It has been 2 hours and I'm now going to strain this. So no, I didn't need to use like cheesecloth or anything. That's good. I'm just gonna strain this into another pot, rinse this pot out, and then put the dye water back into this pot. I had to strain it into 2 different vessels because there was so much. Here is what it looks like. It doesn't seem like super dark, so I really have no idea how this is gonna turn out, but we'll see. Like I said, it's an experiment. So now you're gonna add the mordanted fabric I'm gonna stick them in there and press them down with my spoon. Make sure you get all of the air bubbles out. It says we really just want to keep this hot, not on a simmer or anything, just hot. I mean, I think it's taking a little bit on the white striped fabric. It looks a little bit yellow. So I'm gonna let this sit for 1 hour, and then we're gonna take it off of the heat and we're just going to let it sit at room temperature overnight. So this has been sitting overnight. I'll show you what it looks like. All right. So I rinsed them. This is what they look like. They're kind of like a yellow tan, like a yellowy tan color. I will definitely compare these to the undyed fabric so you can see the difference. But I'm gonna go hang these outside and I will let you know what they look like when they're dry. All right, so I have the results of the fabric that I dyed and I think I love it. It's like kind of subtle, but it's so pretty. So this is the striped one and I will show you what it looks like in natural light as well. And I cut out a little sample of the original fabric so you can really see the difference. Wow. Also, this fabric is 70% rayon and 30% linen. So there's a decent amount of linen and it dyed really well, I think. This fabric that I got it on Dharma Trading. It was $5 for all of this. There's so much fabric here. It was on a closeout sale and it was $5 for so much of this and it's linen. It actually feels really nice. I think shorts would be really cute and maybe even maybe if I could, like a long sleeve button up, but kind of wear it as like a cover up type thing. I don't really know, but I see it in my brain. So I might have to get around to that, but I would love to dye this first. I just have to figure out what color I want to do. And then for the muslin was already like a off-white anyway, but it did make it a little bit darker. There is the difference. I think they turned out really nice. It's a perfect warm tan color, which I love so much. I had no idea how this was going to turn out. I didn't know if it was going to be green, but I boiled my holy basil. So I think that is why it turned out more brown, but maybe we'll experiment with more holy basil and see if I can keep it at a nice simmer and see what color we can get from that. I'm also so excited to try things from the garden. We have calendula starting to grow in and all of my Hopi sunflowers are growing, which is used for dye. It's like a dark brown, dark purple, almost black dye that those sunflowers produce. So I'm so excited for that. And I also really want to dye Aida cloth for cross stitch. Those are my dyeing plans. So if you liked seeing that process, I guess subscribe so you can see more fabric dyeing in the future or even yarn dyeing. I don't know, whatever. I just want to dye stuff. That's all I want to do.